It's not a surprise that the Philadelphia Eagles are a good team. It's not a surprise that they are one of the better teams in the NFL either. But you probably didn't expect them to be 5-0 at this point of the season. They're the NFL's last remaining unbeaten team. We knew entering the season that the roster was stacked. We didn't have any major concerns about the coaching staff either. But Jalen Hurts, while he had played well for periods in the NFL previously, he hadn't really shown off the consistency or rounded skill set that you looked for in a top tier NFL quarterback, the quarterback of an unbeaten team. Hurts has taken a big step forward. He's fulfilling a very specific role in a team that often resembles a top college team going against a minnow. The Eagles are so talented all over the field that they can rely on simpler play designs and win games in different ways each week. But even while understanding Hurts is in a very talented offense, you have to give him a lot of credit for becoming a more consistent and more effective passer. Let's take a closer look at what he's done so far this season. For this play, we go to the Detroit Lions game and the Eagles' offense is set up just outside the red zone. AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert are lined up to the left, on the narrow side of the field. That's where Hurts wants to go with the ball. Brown is running a slant route in behind Goedert's clear-out route down the seam. Unfortunately for Hurts, the Lions have an ideal play call to shut that route down. The defense is playing man coverage across the board underneath with a single high safety in zone coverage, but they're also dropping the right side defensive end into a zone underneath. That defensive end ultimately drops into the exact spot where Hurts wants to throw the ball. He's a very big-bodied player occupying the passing lane. That makes it difficult to throw the ball around him or past him. Since the defense sends a linebacker forward from the other side of the field to balance out the dropping defensive end on the right side, the right play here is for Hurts to look to his right and find his open running back on the left side of the defense. He's throwing into the coverage by looking for AJ Brown instead. Hurts is doing exactly what the defense wants him to do. That's never a good thing. But when we switch to the end zone angle, we can see how he makes it work despite throwing into a tiny window. He successfully pushes the ball past the defensive end without throwing the ball behind Brown's slant route. This is not an easy throw, and even though Hurts makes a wrong decision here, he makes it work by showing off a level of precision in his passing that wasn't always evident before. Here again we see Hurts work against another disguised coverage. It's the Arizona Cardinals who blitz a cornerback, a linebacker, and 3 down linemen. 2 of the linebackers who showed blitz at the snap in the middle drop into zones to complement the back 4 who are already in deeper coverage. The ball is snapped and Hurts hits the top of his drop with one defender coming unblocked from a wide position and another defender rapidly forcing his way through the inside shoulder of his left tackle. Despite this, Hurts stays poised in the pocket and stays in a strong passing posture throughout the play. He doesn't prematurely react to the pressure, drop his eyes, or lose his balance in any way. The end zone angle shows us that Hurts is looking at the wider linebacker dropping into coverage. His body shape reveals where he's looking. He understands that he can't reset within the pocket before throwing the ball or he will be sacked. That means he releases the ball to his tight end inside while his body is shaped to throw outside, especially his feet that are pointed outside away from where the ball is actually going. He has to put this ball on the receiver's outside shoulder or he risks it being picked off. He does that perfectly despite not resetting his feet and facing an impending hit from 2 defenders. Regardless of the technical specifics of this play, the poise that Hurts shows off is what matters most. It permeates through everything that he does this season, which has been a critical difference for his overall level of play. A theme we'll see in these plays is the Eagles' affection for vertical routes. This is a spread formation with 4 vertical routes being run across the formation. The defense is showing quarters coverage with both safeties very deep. That discourages Hurts from looking for his widest options outside the numbers. When the ball is snapped, Hurts executes his drop back and looks to the middle of the field. He has pressure arriving from his right side, so the ball has to come out. But his intended target, the tight end Dallas Goedert, is bending his route between 2 defenders. He's going to be high load in coverage, which means Hurts has a tiny window to throw into. He makes that throw look routine despite it going into essentially what is double coverage. From the end zone angle, we can see the pressure that Hurts is put under as he begins his throwing motion. The poise is there again as his feet are set and the release point is high above his head. He doesn't change his throwing motion at all, he just speeds it up. He opens his body for punishment from the Vikings defensive lineman as well. That shows a level of toughness and commitment to throwing the ball that all great quarterbacks need. Despite that pressure, Hurts pushes the ball past the underneath defender into the body of the tight end. That means he's safe at the catch point. He's not led across the field and he can catch the ball to turn away from the safety in the opposite direction. It's a great play from the quarterback and once again it's not an easy throw. Going back to the Cardinals game, we can again see the Eagles call a play that relies on vertical routes. Every single one of the 5 receivers releasing into their routes are running away from the quarterback for the duration of the play. There's no sharp breaks in their routes, and none of the routes cross each other to pull the defense apart. That makes the timing for the quarterback more difficult, and it makes it tougher for him to diagnose the coverage that the defense is playing. The defense is playing cover 3. Their deep safety is offset to the wide side of the field as well. With 3 receivers on the narrow side, Hurts' eyes are going to go there so he can try and pull the coverage apart at different levels. When the ball is snapped, Hurts takes a drop from his shotgun start and looks for the deep safety. He holds him for a split second before going to his left seam route. His tight end has more space to run into here because the cornerback outside doesn't communicate properly with the defender taking the zone underneath him. You can see the cornerback recovering when we zoom in on the play, but more importantly, you can see the linebacker watching Hurts' eyes in the middle and moving into the passing lane. That defender is perfectly positioned to shut down what looks like a wide open throw. This time you can't throw past him the way you could the defensive end previously. You have to use a touch throw to throw above him. From the end zone angle, we can see how Hurts adjusts his trajectory to throw a beautiful touch pass over the outstretched arm of the linebacker. He comfortably clears the defender without overthrowing his tight end on the seam. He doesn't lead his tight end into the recovering cornerback, nor does he make him stretch so he can't continue downfield after the catch. It's another play where Hurts doesn't find a wide open receiver, but still makes the play work with a precision throw. A different type of precision throw, which is an important detail too. Moving to the Jaguars game, this time we are going to see Hurts find a wide open receiver within the design of the play, a very important aspect of his play as well. He is an isolated receiver on the narrow side of the field with a triple bunch wide to his left. The running back in the backfield is offset to his left, but will break into the right flat at the snap. The Jaguars are showing zone, and when the ball is snapped, Hurts is faced with a four-man rush that never gets near him. The ball comes out from the quarterback as soon as he hits the top of his drop. This is an in-rhythm throw, the sign of a quarterback who is confident in what he is seeing downfield. What he sees is the gap between the linebackers underneath and the receiver ahead of the cornerback following him further downfield. While the throw itself is not perfect, you can see the timing means that Hurts hits the window at its widest point. He gives AJ Brown a clean catch opportunity and affords him the time to protect himself after controlling the ball. The quality of weapons that the Eagles have now means that Hurts making routine plays consistently gives him a formidable offense. But he's not just relying on the stars around him to carry him. He's also making plays that a lot of quarterbacks in the league can't make, and he's doing that consistently. Here we see one of the best throws any quarterback has made all season against the Washington Commanders. You'll see something familiar with the 4 vertical route combinations with 2 receivers on either side of the formation again. But it's important to note now that the ball is on the left hash mark. That will play a big factor in the play as it develops. When the ball is snapped, the defense plays off-man coverage while the deep safety stays in the middle of the field in a zone. Hurts is immediately looking wide to his right, the furthest receiver away from him and the most difficult throw he can make in this scenario. But it's true one-on-one coverage out there, because the deep safety can't cover ground that quickly to get outside of the catch point. You can see Hurts settle in his throwing motion very early in the play. His intended target, Devonta Smith, isn't even level with the defender covering him yet. But Hurts knows to trust the speed of his starting receiver. He knows if he puts the ball in the right spot, his receiver will get there ahead of the defender. Hurts unleashes a huge deep ball down the right sideline. From this angle we can see Smith easily overtake the cornerback and get a step in behind of him. The ball arrives just before he goes out over the sideline. If we go back to the start of the throw, we can see Hurts standing on the left hash mark and releasing the ball to the 31-yard line. Hurts' ball travels at least 60 yards downfield when you account for the angle. Smith catches it at the 18-yard line, so Hurts' arm strength here is really impressive. But it's not just the big throw that stands out. The precision again is incredible. Hurts drops the ball from a high arc and places it just inside the sideline. That means it's on the outside shoulder of the receiver, and it's never in danger of being impacted by the cornerback on his inside shoulder. You simply can't throw this ball any better. It's a play that would make Patrick Mahomes blush. That perfect throw into tight coverage is an obvious highlight. This deep shot touchdown to AJ Brown is to a wide open receiver, but there's still an important lesson about Hurts to be learned from it. The route combinations to the bottom of the screen are going to be vital. Brown is the outside receiver. He's running down the seam. It's important to note that he's outside while the other 2 receivers are tight ends who release from the inside. One of those tight ends goes to the flat immediately, attacking the underneath level of the coverage. The other releases parallel to Brown, running straight downfield at the start of the play. Eventually, that other tight end, Dallas Goedert, reaches a point in the play where he makes a sharp break to the outside. He's attacking the intermediate level of the coverage. This is perfectly timed to go behind the linebacker and underneath coverage, drawing the attention of the deep safety and potentially the cornerback outside. The defenders should follow the red lines that you can see here on the screen, but they don't. The safety comes forward while the cornerback turns to cover Goedert outside as well. They're now double teaming the tight end and nobody is covering AJ Brown. Hurts watched this develop and knew early that he could unleash the ball downfield for Brown to score. It's not a highlight play or a difficult throw, but it's another example of Hurts executing at a high level to the benefit of the offense around him. It's technically and mentally sharp. It's exactly what you want your quarterback to be able to do. Create big plays without having to make difficult throws or put the ball at risk of a turnover. For this play, the Detroit Lions are playing man coverage with a linebacker hovering over the middle in zone coverage. The defense recognizes the mismatched threat of Goedert and double teams him from the start of the play. The Eagles have too many weapons to double team anyone, but you especially can't double team the tight end because of how explosive AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are. When Hurts hits the top of his drop, he can see the middle of the field is shut down. Goedert has a defender on either side of him, so he's bracketed. All of his other options are deep shots to vertical routes. That doesn't intimidate Hurts at all. He instantly settles in and unleashes another deep ball. The end zone angle shows Hurts' eyes open to the middle of the field during his drop back, before immediately switching to the outside at the top of his drop. The ball comes out soon after he hits the top of his drop from the left hash mark and carries over the numbers outside in the wide side of the field. Brown has an uncontested catch to make before being dragged down by the defender. He's a big-bodied receiver who can get open downfield in different ways. He's a great route runner, he's fast, and he's big enough to brush cornerbacks off when they attempt to get physical with him. That shows up on this play against Washington. Brown lines up at the bottom of the screen. It's another 4 verts play design and the defense is playing quarters coverage. 4 vertical routes against quarters coverage often leads to what is essentially man coverage. When the play develops, Hurts sees his 2 receivers to his left are working against single coverage. Since Brown is his number 1 receiver, that's his obvious choice. The end zone angle shows us clearly that this time Hurts doesn't get the throw perfect. He doesn't lead Brown downfield away from the trailing defender, nor does he push the ball wide so it's on his outside shoulder. Instead, the ball hangs in the air, short and inside. It's in the perfect spot for Brown to rise above the defender and make the catch. This I admit is a contested catch, so the quarterback can't get all the credit. Having one of the best receivers in the league turns this into a good throw for the quarterback. Could he have made a better throw? Definitely. But at the very least he recognised where the space was and he understood who his mismatch was. Not every quarterback does that. Not even every starting quarterback in the league does that. He set up this completion even though he couldn't get the most out of the play that he should have. In the same game, Devonta Smith showed off his ball skills when Hurts left too much air on the ball thrown between 2 defenders. These receivers definitely offer him a greater margin for error at the catch point and create wider windows for him to throw into, but he's not asking them to cover for his mistakes too often. One thing this video hasn't touched on is Hurts' ability to throw the ball on the move. He's a very good passer when running right and a very good decision maker too. It's something most onlookers assume with him, so it wasn't worth going into great detail in this breakdown. You can say the same for his ability as a runner. Hurts is definitely a dual threat quarterback who needs his athleticism to be successful at this level, but that's not a negative, especially at this early stage of his career. The Eagles deserve a lot of credit for building an offense that plays to his strengths. He's encouraged to run the ball, he's incorporated into option and design run plays, and the offense emphasizes quick throws outside paired with deep shots on those 4 vert designs. So are the Eagles the best team in the NFL? They might be after 5 weeks, and that can be very valuable during the regular season, but there will be different questions to answer during the playoffs. The smaller samples, the importance of how teams match up to each other, and the pressure that is applied to the quarterback position changes. Every small detail becomes more important in the playoffs. We've seen the established quarterbacks in the league in those scenarios. We haven't seen Hurts there yet, and until he is, there'll be question marks over how good he can be.